What is up guys, my name is MipZ and welcome back for yet another League of Legends video. So today we're playing XAYAH and yeah, XAYAH is actually probably one of my all-time favorite ADCs. She is definitely one of the top 3 champs I've been playing. I played this champ since the day she came out and I honestly love playing her. The cool thing about XAYAH is that she's a champ that you really can grow with. And what I mean with this is that she's not a bad champion if you're like kind of a new player, and she's still really good if you're not. If you're a really experienced player, then this champ is still extremely good. The thing is that XAYAH is the reason why I love playing this champ so much is of course one that you can really grow with her, but also the fact that she, like, compared to other champs, really has the potential to set up kills for herself and set up kills for her team as well, and it just makes her really fun. The number of times I've killed 2 people on my own in lane while my teammate was slow at coming back from his time or his little walk to the shop is numerous. Like honestly, quite a lot of times I've managed to just take 1 versus 2, even like at a point where I'm not that much ahead. And the reason for this is that if you know how to play her, then you can actually really trick people, especially due to the fact that her E flash play is absolutely insane. It deals, and like honestly, absolutely insane amount of damage, and it's really hard to predict. It's really hard to predict. So it's something that, like, if you're playing somewhere around, I would say Iron and up to around Plat, maybe early Diamond as well, people won't really be expecting the E flash till you're at pretty high rating, and that's pretty cool because it makes it really viable. It's a trick that I use very often. I have to flash this. It's a trick that I use very often. It's something that I'll see if I can teach you guys throughout this video, but before we get to that point, I will of course just kind of teach you guys the abilities, talk about what they do, how they work together, and all this stuff, because it is pretty crucial. In order to actually master XAYAH, you have to know how she works. It's a pretty crucial part of it. Okay, so I think we might be able to do something here. Got some good damage off. I did use my heal. I used a little early just to ensure that Lola didn't die. But yeah, I would say that XAYAH is a champ that she's probably not the first champ I would recommend for a friend just starting out. God damn, I missed that minion while looking at the camera. But it's probably not a champ that I would recommend for a brand new player if it's the first time you play League. But at the same time, it's not a champ that I would say do not play this. The reason for this is that if you just kind of get the hang of it, there are different playstyles on her that makes her viable, or at least a bit more forgiving. You can use her ult in a very forgiving way. So it's a champ that you can really grow with. So if you're a new player, don't get discouraged, but I probably would suggest or mostly recommend this champion for people that have played the game for a while and kind of knows how every position plays together and what kind of to do, and then start working this champ. But if you're brand new, then focus on playing it a bit more defensively, saving your ult for defensive plays. But we'll get much more into that as we get to actually explaining the ult. But just overall, yeah, it's a champ for everyone in a way. But of course that's my subjective opinion, so if you don't feel that way, it is just a subjective opinion, and we'll be able to kill this guy. There we go. It is of course a subjective opinion, and at the end of the day, whatever suits you, that's what you should do. But yeah, without further ado, let's talk a little bit about what XAYAH's ability can do and how they work together. So our first ability is what is called Clean Cuts, and this is her passive ability. This passive is actually really good, and it's a big part of who XAYAH is. Clean Cuts allows XAYAH to throw feathers every time she auto attacks if she has these stacks. And a lot of people might be like, well, how do you get the stacks? Pretty easy. The thing is, you can see above your head here, or just under your bar, you can see these gray circles. Each circle represents a feather that you can potentially like store. So XAYAH can store 5 feathers in total. The way she gains feathers is by using an ability. So if we click this ability, we're gonna get 3 feathers. So every time she uses an ability, she gets 3 feathers. So this means using 2 abilities, then you have 5 feathers, because that's the maximum you can have. So that's something you want to think about, making sure that you use abilities to get these stacks so that you can auto attack or get these feathers ready. So you can auto attack, and then every time you auto attack, you throw a feather. And these feathers deal damage. Your auto attacks deal the normal damage they would to a target, but they also leave a feather on the ground. This feather, for every target that it, or for like, these feathers can hit targets as they travel as well, so and that way they're gonna deal damage to them. So if you, let's see if we can get it, if you auto attack a minion, then you can actually, you can see I can even damage the back minions even though I'm clicking on another one. So it deals some damage to the minions and the targets behind it, meaning this can be used for poke. The thing you need to know about this damage is that it is lowered for targets that are not your primary target. It's reduced to up to 50%, I think. These stats can of course always change, but they're reduced significantly, meaning that ideally you always want to be attacking your primary target. But you can use it for poke, for like attacking, say you want to deal some damage to the Vigar. Okay, I need to be a little careful, just so I don't kill myself here. I might actually just do that, just because of that. I was gonna try and hard illustrate it. It's kind of hard to illustrate right here, just because I am not right now in the best spot. But basically, you can attack minions just like there, and then you can deal damage by attacking a minion because your feather is gonna hit. So that's pretty cool. I need to be a little careful here. See if we can do this. Nice. All right, we did really well. That was good. But yeah, you can deal damage to targets, like poking through minions. So if they are out of your range, by having these feathers up, you can attack a minion. The feather is then gonna hit your enemy target behind, or maybe a minion that you can't reach because they're zoning you or something else. You can use this for a lot of things, and you are also going to be able to actually make some trick snares with it. But we'll get into that, how you can do trick snares and how you can do snares that are really hard. Oh, we're gonna get a potion. That are really hard to dodge. So that's kind of what that thing does. So just summing up real quick, you can have up to 5 feathers ready for your auto attacks. You get this by using an ability. Your feathers deal damage as they pass through enemies, so you can deal damage to several enemies, but it is lower to anything else than your main target. And that is basically that one. XAYAH has a secondary passive whenever she's grouped up with Rakan, and you need to know this because it is actually pretty good. And what this thing does is that it's called Lover's Leap, and basically if XAYAH backs or Rakan backs, then basically... Oh, we're gonna get a gank now. Really? If any of them back... I'm gonna be able to just kill this guy real quick. If either XAYAH or Rakan backs, then the other one is gonna be able to jump onto their back, if that makes any sense, or onto their recall. I think recall is a better way of putting it. So basically, imagine that I'm playing with Lulu here. If I went ahead and started backing, then Lulu as a Rakan, if she was playing Rakan, could run over to me, click her recall, and she would jump onto mine. Meaning if I had 3 seconds left on my recall, then she would have 3 seconds left, since they're doing this back dance. So that's really cool. Just want to get that one. So that's a really cool feature and a really nice thing you can do. And of course, XAYAH can also do the opposite with Rakan. So Rakan can start backing and you can jump onto his back. So it's something you really want to be thinking about, something you really want to try and take advantage of. You can do it, a good time to use this is whenever maybe you shove the lane, or and they started backing, or you just need to back. then you can shove the lane and Rakan can start backing. That's going to be the most common scenario. And then you can just jump onto his back. Also, if you're playing with a teammate and you guys have awesome synergy, then maybe if you're in trouble and Rakan was out, I don't know, roaming, and you're fleeing here, then Rakan can start backing in this bush and you can run over there or flash over there and jump onto his back, and you can go back to base in a split second and get away from the action. But of course, that's very situational. It requires insane timing. I just want to kind of get the thought in your head that this passive can actually be used in quite a few ways. So yeah, that's all your passive does. Your Q, called Double Daggers, is a little more simple, and it's a cool spell, but what it does is actually kind of, it feels very similar to her passive. This one just throws out 2 daggers, or 2 feathers. It's called double daggers, but it just throws out these 2 feathers and put them on the ground, and that's it. Of course, the feathers deal damage just as your usual feathers will do. Whoop, let's be. Oh my god, I can't believe I still stepped in that. I will actually be able to get out of this. 3 seconds till I have ult. Kind of screwed this up, but Lulu's doing a great job. I do think that... Alright, that's fine. Alright, good. It just throws out 2 feathers, which is super cool. That's all it does. It's very, very useful, because this is the spell that's going to allow you to do quick snares and basically, basically trick your opponents. So, our next ability is called Deadly Plumage. And Deadly Plumage is a big part of XAYAH and a very underestimated spell or ability. A lot of people use this poorly. Oh, we can actually get a kill here. There we go. A lot of people use this spell poorly because they honestly just underestimate what it can do. But what it does is that it increases XAYAH attack speed significantly for 4 seconds. Additionally, can we do this? Additionally, it's also gonna increase XAYAH's damage by 20% on her attacks, which is insane. It's a lot of damage. And every time she hits a target with an attack, then she gets 30% movement speed for a very, very, very brief moment. But this is very cool because this is going to allow you to actually chase down enemies and catch them, which is super useful. It's really hard to get away from a XAYAH that has this popped up. So whenever you are using this, you want to make sure that you don't just click on the target and run after them and auto attacks. You want to make sure that you do use like so you run and attack and then click yourself such that you start moving as early as possible, because otherwise if XAYAH is within range of her target, she's not going to start moving before it's out of her range. So you want to make sure that you don't lose range on your target. I hope that kind of makes sense. Otherwise we'll have a talk about this in another video where we talk about how to stay within your enemy's range. But yeah, I hope that kind of made sense for you. But that's kind of all what that Deadly Plumage does. A cool thing is that Deadly Plumage actually allows you to... ooh, I'm gonna be dead here. There's no way out. There's no way out. Deadly Plumage actually allows you to also give this buff if you're playing with Rakan. Then he also gets this spell applied to him whenever you click it, which is insane. Whenever you use this, Rakan gets all the same buffs. So he gets the attack speed, he gets the damage, and he gets the movement speed buff. But he's the only champ that can get this. So yeah, it's one of the good reasons to play Rakan with her, and it's one of the reasons that he's very highly recommended to play together with XAYAH. But she works with a lot of supports. She does some really good features. Alright, so our next spell is our E, and this one is what kind of makes everything come together. This is called Bladecaller, and Bladecaller is absolutely ridiculously good. What this thing does is that it takes the feathers you have put on the ground and recalls them to you. Each single feather does damage to any target it passes through. If 3 or more feathers go through a target, then they become snared. So this is kind of one of the cool things. Like here, you can basically use minions to set up feathers and then combine it with your double daggers. This means that you actually only have to do one auto attack after your Q in order to have 3 feathers on the ground in the same spot, and that way snare. So there's a lot of ways to utilize this, but ideally you want to get as many daggers or as many feathers on the ground to... Whoop, nice flash. You want to get as many daggers on the ground as possible. Right, oh. And we're going to be able to get a double kill here for sure. There we go. You want to get as many daggers on the ground as possible in order to, yeah, in order to deal as much damage as possible. You need to know that the more daggers that go through, like, they do a little bit less damage every single time, or for every dagger that goes through the same target. So it's something you need to know, but it's never not worth it to get more daggers through people, or more feathers through, because it just deals a lot of damage. But yeah, as you guys can see, like, XAYAH, she really, like, she can snowball pretty hard, and she's a really good champion, just overall. Let's finish off this item. But your Bladecaller is definitely what you want to play around, and that's something you really got to think about, is placement of your daggers. It means a lot. So I think we're gonna go top, maybe? I think we'll go top. Coming top, then we can push and get Rift. So we kind of need that. But yeah, you really want to try and play around your daggers and think about where to place them. A good way to get daggers on the ground real quick and effectively is you can use a minion here to get that, and then we can get a snare, and you can just see how easily we set this up. Whoop, let's see if we can do something here. Not gonna be able. That was a terrible. Oh, good job, good job. Nice, good job. I actually failed that a lot. I played that really terrible. Let's get Rift. Alright, we'll talk more about how to combine these spells in just a moment, but let's for now talk a little bit about that's the last spell we were missing, and then we can get into all the nitty-gritty details of XAYAH. So first of all, we have her, her ult is probably one of the most significant spells of XAYAH, and a really annoying spell to play against because it's actually really insane. What your ult does is that it makes XAYAH basically fly into the ground, not into the ground, into the air, and become untargetable for a brief moment. While she's untargetable, she cannot get hit by any damage, more or less. So if a Malphite ult, you really want to be using this to get into the air such that the ult doesn't hit you. The same counts like if Yasuo throws his whirlwind, you can just jump over it with your ult. And that's basically the function that you want to use as a new player. You really want to make sure you use this to dodge something that you mispositioned. So that's kind of something you need to think about as a new player. You want to use this as a defensive mechanism. At least that is my personal recommendation. But let's just overall, what this thing does is it makes you fly into the air for a brief moment, and then it's gonna allow you to throw out a fan of feather daggers, or feather daggers, feathers-ish. And this is very cool because this is gonna allow you to place a lot of feathers on the ground, which means that you can do a lot of bursts. You can see right here, I can just get out of Vigar's stun by using my ult. I can just fly over it. But as you, whoops, let's get this. As you use your ult, you're gonna fly into the air for a moment, and then you're gonna throw out your fan or your feather daggers thing in a fan of this, range thing. So it's gonna end at the end of this one. And you can use all of these daggers to optimize your damage, which is really good. Okay, this is bad. Which is really good. So you can actually use this to optimize damage, to get snares in on several people, and yeah, to dodge things. And that's figuring out how to use this in a way that it both helps you maximize your damage, but also like dodge abilities or something that could be really severe to you, is kind of a big part of learning XAYAH. It's learning how to really make full advantage of this spell. A cool thing is that you can also flash while you're in the air. So imagine that you're, I don't know, you're dodging a Malphite ult, or something else that is just flying to you and you have to dodge this instantly, then you can just ult. And imagine that all of them are coming here. I'm in a really tough spot. I can't reach over for flashes. I can use my ult and I can move while in the ult and then flash over the edge here while being in the ult still. So there's a lot of ways to use this. And pretty often you're gonna be using a Q before you ult, because if you ult instantly, it's basically gonna more or less remove the animation from your Q, which is pretty cool. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the overall like mechanics and combos and how you want to play this champion. So this is of course a champ that is not the easiest, but you do of course like she has a lot of potential. But learning her takes a little while, so at the beginning, play her defensively, play her like you would play Ashe or something else. So just play her super defensively, make sure you do damage whenever you're safe, and whenever you screw up, use your ult to get out of it. Otherwise, you want to, every time you start a fight, you want to make sure you pop your W early, you fire off your Qs to get more daggers onto the ground very early. Also, so you get this on cooldown, because as soon as you got it on cooldown, then you can get it back faster, and also you need to get those feather daggers stacked for your basic attack, so you get these ones ready. All right, so right here we're gonna pop or rift. I really wanted to save it till after this turret if possible, but it's not gonna be. So we're gonna have to just pop it there. This turret is gonna fall now. And I think I am gonna be able to, okay. This will be really bad. This is really, really bad. Okay, I tried to back up my team in here. That was way too greedy. I shouldn't have. All right, let's get that one. Get that one. All right, so throughout laning phase, let's talk a little bit about that, because we didn't really get too much into the depth of it. What you want to do, baddest, I know. Thing is, we couldn't wait, and I didn't pop it early enough. That was completely my fault, but doesn't really matter. Right now, we have to kind of focus on what we're doing. So the thing is, in laning phase, what you want to do is you want to try and poke your enemy using your Q and your E. So basically, whenever you can get feathers that is gonna go through them as you recall them, then that's what you want to go for. That's a nice way to poke. Then you need to work on using, basically whenever you snare someone, you want to think about, can I go in for an engage here? Does it make sense? And otherwise, if you're playing with a good support or somebody that can help you, then wait for them to initiate. Then the first thing you want to do is you just want to attack or pop your Q, do one auto attack, and then follow up with a snare on whatever crowd control they have. That is super, super important. But otherwise, through laning phase, just try and poke them a little bit down. Once you feel comfortable and you're sure that you're gonna win and engage, then you can of course go for it. Oh, well, let's get that one down. But when you're playing in the beginning, just play defensively and make sure that that you're in a good spot. And then you can do things like the E flash combo. Oh, whoop. If I had my E ready, I will try and show you guys. But otherwise, like here right now, all the time, try and look for these for popping up snares. Every time you're sure that you can snare a target, make sure you pop that off. Pop your W as early in the fight as possible, or whenever, like, yeah. Sometimes you do want to hold on to it for just a second. This is going to be very situational, and really good players will know when that is, but it's basically, if you're in the back line, you know somebody has the potential to get to you, and you need the extra movement speed as they run through you, then you kind of need to hold on to it for a second to wait for them to push. But if there's any chance you can kill them before getting there, then pop your W straight away. But the way you do the instant snare is basically you need to do a Q, attack, and then back them off straight away. And that's kind of it. I'm a little bit rusty since I had a long break from playing League, but the way it works and feels a little bit weird, which means that it does require a little bit of practice to actually pull off the instant snare. It is, and most commonly you'll be doing this on minions, so you'll be using a minion as a as a bait for doing the snare, which means that you're gonna do a Q, auto attack a minion, and put another feather here, which means you can actually snare somebody who's standing there, even though they're out of your auto attack range, which is really cool. So it's something you really want to be thinking about, that you can snare people that are way out of range. This is gonna be terrible. 3 seconds, dang it. I think we might actually just go ahead and lose this game though. That is not good. Alright, let's get this. I don't know, I have never popped that. Nah, I actually think we'll win. That was a fail team fight. So yeah, with those things kind of out of the way, like what you need to think about with XAYAH is really the feather position. It's what means the most with her, and I think that's what people struggle the most on with XAYAH, is that they think auto-attacking, like a lot of ADCs are really based on just auto-attacking. Of course, XAYAH deals a lot of damage with her auto-attacks, I'm not saying that, but a huge portion of her damage and her kit relies on good positioning of feathers. And the way you place feathers, especially against good players, are often by using minions to position them before you're in attack range of them. Because of course, if you can hit them with your auto attacks, then don't attack a minion to put a feather. You want to do it on the target you're going for, but pretty often you're going to be able to surprise people by using the minions as kind of a base for getting it off. And then if you're a very experienced player, or if you feel like you're pretty comfortable with the champion, then start working on your ult also for aggressive plays. Figure out kind of where your boundaries are, and figure out when does it make sense to use my ult as aggressively and when doesn't it. Because it's really situational. I'm gonna see if we can just remove that thing. There we go. Because it is really situational, and it's like XAYAH comes with a lot of practice. She's not an easy champ to master, but she's, in my opinion, not an easy champ to start with, but she's pretty like intuitive to start out with. But she just has so much depth to her. She has a decent early game. She has a pretty good mid game, and as you come into the late game, XAYAH really starts to shine. So it's something you really got to be thinking about. Like, XAYAH is a cool ass champion. I think we're gonna try and see if we can pull off a E flash on somebody, just because I want to show it. I know, who knows, maybe we're gonna die just from doing it. So basically, right there, it does not make sense to use it there, just so you know. But I just really wanted to show it off. But basically, what it means is that whenever if you flash, or if you use your E first, then she's gonna start drawing the feathers. And if you flash, then, like, imagine this is an enemy, like this one. Imagine this is an enemy, and you're standing right here, and for some reason, another enemy is coming down from here, I guess. So you really want to snare both targets as they move on to you. So in this case, we want to try and position, let's say they're running some, I don't know, they run over here. So this guy is now standing here, and the other one's standing there. So you kind of want to position yourself here. So what you do while you're down here is you use your E to call the feathers to you, but before they get to you, you flash instantly, and this means that your feathers are gonna go through both enemies, and they're not really gonna have any chance to react, because it's gonna be going out like it's in the snap of a moment. The feathers are gonna recall to a place that they never expected. And that's a really cool trick, and honestly something that you can use pretty often to win laning phase and pull off cool things, especially if you learn this trick and then learn the instant snare on minions. So you Q and get an auto attack and then call back your feathers instantly. It's really gonna enable you to win that early game. So yeah, that's kind of overall. As you move into team phase, of course you just want to play the usual team fight. You kind of want to stay behind as an ADC and do the best that you can to there is not much we can do right now. Okay, we're gonna lose this so bad. Okay, they're actually winning now. This feels kind of bad, I'm not gonna lie. This feels kind of bad, but it does show how to play the champion, so like more or less the basic idea behind it. But yeah, it is really fun to play XAYAH. I do think that they're probably gonna be able to finish this. Are they? They have 30 seconds. What do you guys think? Do you think so? I think so. I think they might actually be able to finish it. But right now we're really struggling. This Jarvan is doing a great job. I'm not staying far enough behind, so sadly they're actually smashing through me a little too quickly, and I think they will finish the game before we will even revive, which is kind of sad. We had a pretty decent early game. We did pretty fine. I don't know, like I kind of lost focus while explaining, so I didn't really pay too much attention to every detail of the game, and I don't really care that we lost. This was just to illustrate how to play XAYAH, what she can do. She is of course strongest like most other ADCs in a good team fight comp, but she's really a champ that you can do a lot with, and she's really fun to play, and you can learn a lot from playing this champion. So yeah, that's kind of what this champion does. I hope this kind of gave you an impression of whether or not you should, or like if you should pick up XAYAH, or if you already own her, if you should start playing her, or if you're already playing her, how to play her, or at least maybe a tip or two on how to play her better or differently, or how to think about like your mentality around playing her, or maybe you just learned a niche from one of the spells that you didn't already know. So yeah, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this and learned a thing or two about how to play XAYAH. It's a really fun champion, so something that I hold very dear. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, then make sure to smash that like button. It really does help me out a lot, because it makes sure that this video comes out to as many people as humanly possible. And yeah, if you guys are not already, then make sure to subscribe down below. It shows me that you guys really enjoy the content that I make, and yeah, it's a really nice way of supporting me. I really do appreciate it. I'm so mind blown by the fact that we've grown with just about 1,400 subs within the last like 30 days plus, somewhere around 30 to 45 days. It's absolutely insane. I honestly never thought we would grow this much, or I would grow this much on my channel, or our channel. I really do appreciate the support. I think it's absolutely insane. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. It really, you guys are helping me achieve a dream that I never thought was possible, or at least getting a couple of steps closer. So thank you guys. And if you're not already, make sure to subscribe. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, stay awesome, have fun, and take it easy, guys.